There were no computers controlling the engines, no traction control keeping the tires planted, and no electronic driving modes. Just raw displacement, massive carburetors, and enough horsepower to turn every green light into a drag race. This was the decade when Detroit's biggest automakers abandoned restraint and declared war on one another. Every new model promised more power than the last. Bigger V8s replaced smaller ones almost overnight. Quarter-mile times became marketing tools, and horsepower figures climbed so quickly that yesterday's hero could become today's underdog in a single model year. These weren't refined sports cars built to carve corners. They were brutal machines, engineered for one purpose: straight line, speed. Suspensions were stiff, steering was heavy, fuel economy barely existed, and stopping distances often felt like an afterthought. None of that mattered. If a car could launch harder than its rivals, it had already won the battle. The result was a generation of unforgettable muscle cars that still define American performance more than half a century later. Some became household names. Others quietly disappeared despite being every bit as capable as the legends beside them. Today, we're going back to one of the greatest horsepower wars in automotive history to revisit the machines that made the 1960s, the undisputed golden age of American muscle. So fasten your seatbelt, because these cars didn't just burn fuel, they burned their names into automotive history. Number 10. 1966. Chevrolet Impala SS 427. By the mid-1960s, General Motors wasn't simply America's largest automaker, it was America's automotive empire. More than half of all new cars sold in the United States carried a GM badge. Chevrolet, Pontiac, Buick, Oldsmobile, and Cadillac dominated nearly every segment, leaving Ford and Chrysler fighting to keep pace. With that level of success came confidence, and in 1966, Chevrolet used it to build one of the most beautiful full-size performance cars of the decade. The Impala SS 427. Unlike many bulky, full-size sedans of the era, the new Impala combined elegant styling with serious muscle. Its sweeping fastback roofline, sculpted rear fenders, and curved side glass gave it an appearance that looked years ahead of its competitors. It wasn't just big, it was sophisticated. For 1966, Chevrolet refined the entire full-size lineup with cleaner front and rear styling, giving the Impala a sharper, more formal appearance without sacrificing its unmistakable presence. Then came the Super Sport. While the standard Impala could be ordered with modest six-cylinder or small-block V8 engines, enthusiasts knew exactly which option mattered: the legendary 427 cubic-inch big block V8. Officially rated at 425 horsepower, it transformed the elegant cruiser into something far more intimidating. Press the throttle, and the car surged forward with astonishing force. Despite weighing well over 2 tons, the SS 427 could sprint from 0 to 60 mph in roughly 6.5 seconds, numbers that embarrassed plenty of smaller performance cars. Even more impressive was how effortlessly it delivered that performance. This wasn't a stripped-down drag machine. It still offered comfortable seating, a spacious interior, and enough room for the whole family. It proved you didn't have to sacrifice practicality to own one of the fastest cars on the road. The Super Sport quickly became a favorite at both local drag strips and NASCAR events, earning a reputation as one of Chevrolet's greatest full-size performance cars. More than 50 years later, the 1966 Impala SS 427 remains one of the finest examples of American muscle wrapped in full-size luxury. Number 9. Mercury Comet. Cyclone GT 390. While Chevrolet dominated headlines, Ford had a secret weapon hiding in plain sight. Its name wasn't Mustang. It wasn't Fairlane. It was the Mercury Comet Cyclone GT 390. Sharing much of its DNA with the Ford Fairlane, the Cyclone received a complete redesign for 1966, evolving from a compact car into a true intermediate muscle machine. The transformation changed everything. Its longer body, cleaner styling, and aggressive front end gave Mercury a serious competitor in one of the hottest performance segments of the decade. Beneath the hood sat Ford's respected 390 cubic inch FE Big Block V8. Depending on the configuration, buyers could choose outputs ranging from 335 to nearly 390 horsepower, paired with either a 3-speed manual, optional 4-speed gearbox, or automatic transmission. Regardless of the setup, one thing remained constant. The Cyclone was quick. Very quick. What truly surprised enthusiasts wasn't just its acceleration. It was its consistency. Straight from the factory, bone-stock Cyclones were posting quarter-mile times capable of embarrassing far more expensive rivals. Its reputation reached another level when the Cyclone GT served as the official pace car for the 1966 Indianapolis 500. Unlike many pace cars, however, Mercury never produced a large run of replicas. That decision unintentionally made the originals even more desirable. Today, surviving examples are among the most collectible Mercury muscle cars ever built. Overshadowed for decades by Mustangs and Fairlanes, the Cyclone GT quietly earned its place as one of Ford's greatest forgotten performance machines. Number 8. Shelby GT350 Supercharged. When the Ford Mustang debuted in 1964, it immediately became a sales sensation. Stylish, affordable. Fun to drive. But Carroll Shelby saw something everyone else missed. Potential. To Shelby, the Mustang wasn't finished, it was just getting started. Working from his small shop in Venice, California, Shelby and his team stripped unnecessary weight, upgraded the suspension, sharpened the steering, and transformed Ford's pony car into a legitimate racing machine. The result was the legendary GT350. It immediately dominated SCCA competition and became one of America's most respected performance cars. Most manufacturers would have stopped there. Carroll Shelby didn't. For 1966, buyers could order an optional Paxton supercharger, creating one of the rarest Shelby Mustangs ever produced. Suddenly, the already impressive 289 cubic inch high-performance V8 became something far more dangerous. Depending on tuning, output climbed well beyond 300 horsepower, with some examples approaching 440 horsepower. Performance was breathtaking. Contemporary road tests recorded quarter-mile times in the low 14-second range, remarkable for a street-legal Mustang during the mid-1960s. Ironically, the supercharged GT350 never became a commercial success. Only a small number were built, and many spent their lives being raced exactly as Shelby intended. As a result, very few original supercharged cars survive today. That rarity has transformed them into some of the most valuable first-generation Mustangs ever created. For collectors, owning one isn't just buying a classic Mustang, it's owning a piece of Carroll Shelby's relentless pursuit of speed. In record numbers and quickly becoming America's favorite pony car. But among hardcore muscle car enthusiasts, another Ford was quietly building a legendary reputation. The 1966 Fairlane 427. Unlike the flashy Mustang, the Fairlane was built with one thing in mind: raw performance. It wasn't trying to be stylish or luxurious. It was Ford's answer to the growing horsepower war that was sweeping across America. Earlier, Fairlanes relied on the respectable 390 cubic inch Thunderbird V8. But for 1966, Ford had something far more serious waiting in the wings: the legendary 427 side-oiler V8. This wasn't just another engine upgrade. It was one of the greatest racing engines Ford had ever produced. Producing a factory-rated 425 horsepower and nearly 480 pound-feet of torque, the side-oiler transformed the lightweight Fairlane into a genuine street monster. Power reached the rear wheels through a close-ratio 4-speed manual gearbox and Ford's nearly indestructible 9-inch rear axle. launched the car correctly, and it exploded off the line with incredible force. On the drag strip, the Fairlane proved it could run alongside Chrysler's mighty Hemi-powered machines, earning respect from racers across the country. Although later, cars like the Torino Cobra often receive more attention today, many enthusiasts still believe the 1966 Fairlane 427 represents Ford muscle at its purest. Sometimes legends don't wear the most famous badge. Number 6. Plymouth Hemi Satellite. While Ford was perfecting its side oiler, Chrysler was preparing something altogether more outrageous. The 426 Street Hemi. Few engines have ever achieved mythical status quite like Chrysler's Elephant motor. Originally developed for NASCAR competition, the Hemi proved so dominant that racing officials effectively forced Chrysler back to the drawing board. Instead of abandoning the project, Chrysler made an even bolder decision. They put it into production. One of the lucky recipients was the newly redesigned 1966 Plymouth Satellite. From the outside, it looked relatively ordinary. Under the hood, it was anything but. The legendary 426 cubic inch Street Hemi produced an officially advertised 425 horsepower, although many enthusiasts still believe the real figure was considerably higher. Massive 11-inch drum brakes, heavy-duty suspension, and strengthened driveline components attempted to keep all that power under control. Attempted. Because nothing about the Hemi Satellite could really be described as gentle. The front end felt heavy. Cornering required commitment. Stopping distances were optimistic. But nobody bought a Hemi to carve mountain roads. They bought it to dominate the quarter mile. Car and driver famously described it as one of the finest combinations of brutal performance and everyday drivability ever produced. That reputation has only grown stronger with time. Number 5. Pontiac GTO Tri-Power Ask. Almost any enthusiast where the muscle car era truly began, and many will point toward one name. Pontiac GTO. Say 1966, the GTO had already become America's hottest performance car. What started life as an option package had evolved into its own standalone model, proving that Pontiac understood exactly what young performance buyers wanted. More power, more attitude, more speed. Under the hood remained the legendary 308.9 cubic inch V8, available with either a traditional 4-barrel carburetor or Pontiac's famous tri-power setup. 3 2-barrel carburetors. 1 unforgettable soundtrack. Rated at 360 horsepower, the Tri-Power GTO became one of the quickest factory muscle cars available. Although later emissions regulations eventually ended the Tri-Power era, enthusiasts still regarded as one of the greatest induction systems ever fitted to an American production car. For many collectors, this is the GTO to own. Number 4. Dodge Charger 426. Hemi. The Charger didn't become famous because of Hollywood. It became famous because it looked unlike anything else on American roads. When Dodge introduced the 1966 Charger, buyers immediately noticed its sweeping fastback roofline, hidden headlights, and dramatic full-width taillights. It looked futuristic. Then buyers discovered what could be hiding beneath that hood. The 426 Street Hemi. Officially advertised at 425 horsepower, the Hemi Charger possessed performance capable of humiliating many sports cars costing far more. Interestingly, Dodge built very few Hemi Chargers during the model's first year. Out of more than 37,000 Chargers produced, only a tiny fraction received the legendary engine. That rarity has made surviving originals extraordinarily valuable today. Back then, they were simply terrifying. Number 3. Oldsmobile 442. The W30, the Pontiac GTO may have started the muscle car movement, but Oldsmobile wasn't willing to remain in second place. The company's answer arrived wearing 3 numbers. For 1966, Oldsmobile introduced even more performance through the legendary W30 package, creating one of the quickest factory-built muscle cars of the decade. Its new 400 cubic-inch rocket V8 already produced impressive power in standard form, but enthusiasts wanted more. The W30 package delivered exactly that: a hotter camshaft, improved cylinder heads, a revised induction system, and even greater breathing efficiency. Officially, horsepower increased only slightly. Unofficially, everyone knew the engine was considerably stronger than the factory admitted. By the end of 1966, many road tests placed the W30 ahead of several rivals that had previously dominated the muscle car hierarchy. Quietly, Oldsmobile had built one of America's fastest street machines. Number 2. Chevrolet Corvette, Stingray, 427. Some cars become legendary because of styling, others because of racing success. The 1966 Corvette Stingray 427 achieved both. Chevrolet's stunning second-generation Corvette was already one of the most beautiful American sports cars ever built. Then engineers installed the new 427 cubic-inch big block V8. Officially rated at 425 horsepower, it launched the lightweight Stingray from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 5 seconds. That level of performance bordered on unbelievable during the mid-1960s. The massive wave of torque made every acceleration feel effortless. Every gear change came with explosive force. Every full-throttle launch reminded drivers why the Corvette had become America's sports car. Few machines combined beauty and brutality quite like the Stingray 427. Number 1. Shelby Cobra 427 Super Snake. If every car on today's list represented the peak of American muscle. The Shelby Cobra 427. Super Snake existed in an entirely different universe. Carroll Shelby had already built one of the fastest sports cars on Earth. Then he decided it still wasn't enough. Only 2 Super Snakes were ever created. One remained Shelby's personal car. The second famously found its way to comedian Bill Cosby, who returned it after a single terrifying drive. According to the story, the car frightened him so badly that it inspired material for one of his comedy albums. That reaction makes perfect sense. Shelby took the already monstrous 427 Cobra and fitted it with twin Paxton superchargers. The result? Nearly 800 horsepower in a lightweight roadster weighing barely half as much as many rivals. Even by today's standards, that's outrageous. Yet somehow Shelby managed to make it street legal. Every squeeze of the throttle demanded complete respect. The Super Snake wasn't merely fast, it was almost uncontrollable. More than half a century later, surviving examples remain. Among the most valuable American performance cars ever built. One sold for over $5 million, cementing its place among the greatest automotive icons in history. Conclusion: the 1960s weren't simply the golden age of muscle cars. They were the decade when American automakers stopped asking, "How much power is enough?" and started asking, "How much more can we build?" The result was an unforgettable generation of machines that valued horsepower over refinement, acceleration over comfort, and excitement over compromise. From the elegant Impala SS 427 to the outrageous Super Snake, each of these legends helped shape the identity of American performance for generations to come. More than 50 years later, their thunderous V8s still ignite passion, their styling still turns heads, and their stories continue to inspire enthusiasts around the world. Now, we'd love to hear from you. If you could park just one of these legendary muscle cars in your garage, which would it be, and why? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy discovering the forgotten stories behind the world's greatest classic cars, subscribe to Motor Legacy, because every week we bring automotive history back to life, one legend at a time.